In a move so audacious and calculated that it sent shockwaves across Washington and Brussels, China has just flipped the global electric vehicle chessboard. As if caught completely off guard, U.S. President Donald Trump has reportedly been left in disbelief following China's latest geopolitical economic maneuver, a full-throttle pivot to Africa for electric vehicle production and market expansion. This strategic shift, insiders say, is a bold response to the avalanche of tariffs recently imposed by both the United States and the European Union, which were designed to choke Beijing's EV dominance. But far from retreating, China is charging forward, straight into the heart of Africa. The trigger for this tectonic shift: brutal tariffs that Beijing views as an economic ambush. The European Union has slapped Chinese EVs with anti-subsidy tariffs as high as 35.3%, stacked on top of a pre-existing 10% import duty. That means Chinese manufacturers like SAIC now face a staggering 45.3% penalty just to enter the European market. BYD, the poster child of China's EV surge, isn't spared either, with tariffs reaching 17%. Across the Atlantic, President Trump has taken an even more aggressive stance. On April 9, 2025, he declared a new wave of tariffs that hiked existing rates to a jaw-dropping 145% on all Chinese imports. That includes a fresh 25% tariff on imported vehicles, light trucks, and key auto parts, ostensibly under the banner of national security. Trump insisted the move was necessary to protect American workers and industries from unfair Chinese competition, but analysts say it amounts to economic warfare on Beijing's automotive ambitions. The West's message was crystal clear: China's subsidized EV juggernaut was no longer welcome. But China, far from folding, simply rerouted its game plan and its factories toward a market that's hungry, fast-growing, and full of raw materials. Africa. China's pivot is more than just economic. It's geopolitical theater at its most daring. Chinese automakers are rapidly building and expanding EV and battery production facilities across the African continent, positioning Africa not just as a market, but as a manufacturing powerhouse. Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Eyea, announced earlier this month that Chinese firms will set up EV and battery plants in Nigeria, tapping into the nation's rich lithium deposits. According to Eyea, President Xi Jinping has made African industrialization a priority in Nigeria, particularly Nasarawa State, is ground zero for this vision. Chinese firm Eyea New Energy Materials has already launched the country's largest lithium processing plant there, expected to generate $500 million annually. But Nigeria is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Chinese companies are also laying deep roots in Egypt, Morocco, and Algeria, each chosen for strategic reasons. In Egypt, the gateway between Africa and Europe, companies like Geely, BYD, and SAIC have either operational completely knocked down plants or full-scale manufacturing lines under development. GAC, another Chinese state-owned giant, plans to localize its assembly operations by 2026, leveraging the Suez Canal and Egypt's existing automotive ecosystem. In Morocco, the story is even more electrifying. Chinese firms are pouring billions into EV and battery factories, capitalizing on Morocco's proximity to Europe, its free trade deals, and its rich phosphate reserves, critical for LFP battery technology. Goshen High-Tech, for instance, is investing a staggering $6.5 billion into an EV battery facility in Kenitra, while other Chinese firms target northern cities like Tangiers and Tétouan. Algeria, too, has become a magnet for Chinese automakers, thanks to government policies favoring local production. Chery, JAC, and Geely are all setting up shop, lured by both state incentives and a market hungry for affordable transportation solutions. And it doesn't stop there. In Ethiopia, Chinese EV companies are accelerating entry after the government banned imports of new petrol or diesel vehicles and rolled out tax incentives for EVs. GAC's Eyea EV brand recently launched in Addis Ababa with local assembly plans, while BYD is flooding the streets with electric buses and passenger cars. Even Kenya, where cost sensitivity is high, is seeing a surge in Chinese EV offerings through companies like BYD, which assembles Chinese electric buses tailored to local conditions. So why Africa? The reasons are both strategic and opportunistic. Most African countries are still on the sidelines of the EV revolution, a blank slate. This allows Chinese companies to dominate early, offering affordable, simple models tailored to African roads and consumer budgets. It's also a continent brimming with raw materials: lithium in Nigeria, phosphates in Morocco, rare earths scattered across southern Africa. China sees Africa as both a supplier and a consumer. This is not just an economic lifeline for China, it's a geopolitical masterstroke. By relocating production to Africa, Chinese companies sidestep Western tariffs entirely while embedding themselves in local economies. It's a win-win arrangement, Chinese officials say, and it's hard to argue. Africa gains jobs, technology transfer, industrial growth, and the chance to leapfrog into a cleaner transport future. China, in turn, preserves its EV momentum and positions itself as Africa's indispensable development partner. Trump, however, is fuming. The US president had hoped that by hammering China with tariffs, he could throttle Beijing's economic influence. What he didn't anticipate was China finding a backdoor and building a whole new highway through it. According to close White House aides, Trump considers this African pivot economic manipulation of the highest order and is exploring new ways to extend tariffs or block Chinese-affiliated imports from third-party nations. But China doesn't seem to care. For Beijing, Africa is not just an escape hatch, it's the future. The continent's young, rapidly urbanizing population is expected to drive demand for transportation for decades to come. And while the infrastructure challenges are real, such as patchy power supply in some regions, many African nations are pushing forward with grid expansion and renewable energy integration to accommodate the EV wave. From Africa's perspective, the Chinese pivot couldn't have come at a better time. As more nations seek to diversify away from Western economic domination, China's approach of mutual benefit is increasingly appealing. African leaders are no longer satisfied being raw material suppliers. They want processing plants, jobs, and industrial know-how, and China is providing it. This emerging triangle of China, Africa, and electric vehicles is upending traditional alliances and shaking global trade patterns. While Trump's America scrambles to contain what it sees as Chinese overreach, Beijing is already planting flags in the markets of tomorrow. In Africa, it's choosing partnerships that promise equality, development, and dignity. And with China's help, that vision is fast becoming reality. In the end, this is more than a tariff war or a market pivot. It's a fundamental realignment. China's bet on Africa is redefining the global EV race, creating a new industrial axis that may soon rival the West's century-old dominance. For Africa, it's a rare chance to rewrite its economic destiny on its own terms. And for China, it's the clearest signal yet. If the West closes one door, it will open 10 more. Your perspective matters. What do you make of China's massive investments in the EV industry across Africa? Share your thoughts and insights in the comments section below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the New Africa Wealth and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our informative future videos. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thank you for watching.